Hey guys, Scott here. Today I want to talk about the monetization of Dead by Daylight and whether or not it is unfair to new players. I actually am making this because I watched Mint Skull's video about the monetization of the game. It's a really good video. I'll link it below. He goes over in extreme detail just how long it takes you to get new things with new, for new players and the overall new player experience and how it's terrible. So the question of whether or not Dead by Daylight is pay to win. If we go by the literal definition, no, it's not pay to win. It just, by no definition, is pay to win, and he even goes over that in the video. But that's if we're just being, pedantic. By the actual black and white definition, no, the game is not pay to win. However, it is kind of predatory and insidious in a lot of ways, and that's what I think is so good about this video. It goes over the exact math behind how that's the case, and how, frankly, it is just straight up unfair to new players. The whole premise and title of this video is it unfair to new players? And that is an unequivocal yes. It is absolutely unfair to new players. To be fair, they've been trying to make it better now by making things cost less blood points and the blood weapon, things like that. But at the same time, now the shrine got more expensive, so it sort of counteracted that. So if the question is not, is the game pay to win, but is it, unfair for new players? Yes. No one is going to argue it is absolutely unfair to new players. But in a lot of videos like Mint Skulls, and in a lot of, forum posts and Twitter posts and suggestions and stuff like that, I always see suggestions on how to make it more fair for new players. And they're all really cool suggestions. But the problem is none of them really ever address the other half of the argument, unfortunately, which is how is this going to make behavior money? And I get this is a kind of a nasty topic to talk about, but I'm going to play devil's advocate here and talk about the realistic aspect of a lot of these changes and how none of them really work if we're talking about running a business. Again, I agree with like all of these changes. Every suggestion that Mint Skull has in this video, for example, like making only cosmetics the paid thing in the game and having, new cosmetics like Mori stores and charm stores and new flashlight things. When you hit a gen, you get a custom effect for your character. Just making all the things you buy in the game cosmetic. I am all for that. That would be awesome. In fact, one of my favorite games of all time, Path of Exile, does exactly that. But like I said, I'm going to play devil's advocate here. And although I would love to see that, I just don't see how it's feasibly possible for behavior to support those ideas. And we have to go over the actual money aspect of it, which again, not a great topic to talk about, but we have to be realistic here. So in the video, actually, Mint Skull goes over a bunch of other games that have a much more generous monetization model, like Fortnite or Minecraft or Valorant or League of Legends. But he neglected to mention a pretty important aspect of these comparisons in that these games are just infinitely more popular than Dead by Daylight by a wide margin. They are like, Fortnite has like 100 times the players of Dead by Daylight. It is not even close. So it means in a game like Fortnite, they can afford to charge 95% less for stuff or give stuff away for free and still make way more money than behavior does. So I don't feel like it's fair to compare games of that size to games of much smaller size like Dead by Daylight. In fact, I think a better comparison is Path of Exile. It's one of my favorite games. It is a bit bigger than DBD. When the league resets every 3 months, they typically get around like 150k players, which is going to be higher than DBD's cap has ever been. So they're a bit bigger, but I think they're the most comparable in size, and I wanted to use them as a comparison because it is a free-to-play game. And a lot of suggestions, especially like ones that Mint Skull are proposing, would make DBD a sort of free-to-play game where all that new content, the killers and all that stuff would be free. And Path of Exile is able to exist solely based on that. But the thing is, the way that they're able to do that is their cosmetic store is insanely overpriced. Everything in their cosmetic store is horribly over. Like, if you want some flaming wings in your character, it can be like 40 to 60 bucks for like one thing. It is insanely overpriced. And it's okay. I'm okay with that because the game's free. You don't actually have to pay for anything. And it's just cosmetics. You can't buy a boost of any kind. You can buy stash tabs, which help you organize your items better. But you can't really get an advantage over a free player with money in that game. And that's what a lot of people are suggesting for this game. But like I said, the cosmetics in that game are wildly overpriced. And in order to cut out the paid portion of the game, they would be losing a large chunk of income. And so to counteract that, they would have to have more expensive and more quantity-wise cosmetics, which I think would make people complain in a different direction. And even in Mint Skull's own video, he talks about how the cosmetics are wildly overpriced. But if the game stopped charging people for the new content, the cosmetics would have to just cost twice what they currently cost. And that would not be seen very well by most players, I would have to think. And like I said, a lot of these suggestions don't take into account. They're basically like from the mindset of, hey, let's change this. You're not going to earn any more money from this, but change it anyway. And I have to ask what incentive a business has to do that. If you ever propose a change to a business and the end result is you earn less money, why would they? They're just never ever going to do that. It's just not in a million years, unless they're like a company that just gives stuff away or something like that. It's just very unrealistic to have these type of suggestions that will not earn them this. I'm not even earning more money, just the same amount of money, just to keep it static. And whenever I bring that up, people go like, Behavior is not like a little indie company, they can afford to make things cheaper and stuff like that. But I don't think people realize that argument is working against itself. Because they're not a little indie company anymore, they have more mouths to feed. In fact, they need more money now. If they were a company of 20 people or something like that, the amount of revenue they're earning right now, totally fine. They would be rich, honestly. And then we could be having this conversation. But last year, for example, Behavior made $90 million in revenue which sounds like a ton of money, except you have to realize they have over 1,000 employees. And suddenly when you divide that $90 million over 1,000 employees, you realize they're not rolling the Benjamins anymore. It's still an average decent salary. Obviously, the janitor's not making $90K and the CEO is not making $90K. There's a bell curve here. But, it should show you that they're not rolling in the Benjamins. They're not just a rich, greedy, cigar smoking company. Ha, my millions today or not. They're making okay amounts of money, and that's great. But a lot of these suggestions are just saying, hey, make less money and make our experience better. They're just going to say no. There's no fucking way they're ever going to do that shit. So that's, I think, the problem with all of these suggestions. They don't go over a way Behavior can earn more money. And having things like a Mori store or, more cosmetics and stuff like that, they're cool in theory. I just know they're not going to match the base amount of money they gain from selling the actual content itself. So the real discussion has to be, how can we solve the new player issue without making them earn less money? And the only thing that I can really think of, and I think Minsko went over this too, is to make the shrine a lot more generous. Because we can't be giving killers away and survivors away for free, especially if they're licensed. Then there's no grounds for discussion whatsoever. They have to charge for money. But I think if we give people, new players, the aspects of, a new build earlier to make their experience on whatever killers they do have a lot smoother, it would be at least seen as less predatory to new players. And I think that would be fine. But if you want to play Nemesis or you want to play whatever killer, you still got to pay for it. So they'll still earn their money from that. It's just going to be the perks. So if, a new player watches Johnny YouTuber's new build for this character and they go, oh, I want that, but I can't get that. It's going to take me 6 months to wait for the shrine to have that. So we can design the shrine in a different way. Maybe you can have, the standard shrine where you have your 4 perks and you can choose to buy any of those per week. Or you can have a different option of just picking any perk in the game to purchase. So you can choose 4 that you don't have or choose 1 that you don't have. But the 4 are chosen by the game, and you can choose the 1 by yourself. So basically, in a month, if you truly don't want to pay for anything, you can have whatever build you want in the entire game rather than just waiting months and months and months for the shrine to get exactly what you need. That's probably the most realistic way I can see them addressing that without them really losing any more money. Other than that, I can't think of anything. If you guys have suggestions, I would love to hear them. Hell, I think Behavior would love to hear them. You want to tweet at them and say, hey, do this. This will earn you the same amount of money while also making new player grind a lot better. Please. Again, I'm not defending any practices that they have. I think it's really incredibly unfair for new players. And as a player that, has everything already, and I'm sure a lot of you that watch DVD videos, you already have everything as well. you don't even think about this aspect. So again, I would love for these changes to happen. I'm just trying to be realistic about it and, go over the fact that they still need to earn as much money. And basically all the suggestions I've heard other than like the shrine thing will just earn them less money. So yeah, it's complicated. It's not a simple solution. And I would love to hear what you guys have to say about it because it is something we would all love to see, but we need to be realistic about it. And that's basically the whole point of the video. So that's it. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.